Good day, everyone. I am very happy to have this chance to give my presentation. Before I start my topic, I will just introduce myself. My name is Eliza Macaloyos, and the topic for this time is all about knowing cultural strong nonverbal message. First question is, what is nonverbal communication? Nonverbal communication describes the way people send and receive information to each other beyond words. In other words, nonverbal communication is communication that occurs without words, which is continuous. It is a body language and environmental context involved in any communication. It is not what is said with words, but how it's said and expressed. Some nonverbal message can be clearly identified with the culture. Min Sam Kim, 1992. For example, has demonstrated how nonverbal message shown in Korea and the US print media advertising clearly reflect the culture. Culture can be conceptualized as an interrelated system. Each aspect of culture is related to other aspects of the culture. For example, it is said that in European body language is an important indicator of one's level of education and good manners, a relationship not seen often in the States. You'll see that many nonverbal messages used in a culture are related to and consistent with other aspects of the culture. In one sense, then other aspects of a culture are revealed in the nonverbal code. According to research, six expressions are universal. They are happiness, sadness, disgust, fear, anger, and surprise. But it might also be different, like the extent to which people show these feelings. In some cultures, people express openly and some people do not. For instance, you are European. You are traveling to Japan and you don't speak Japanese. You don't have a translator or a dictionary. And you can only use nonverbal communication to communicate with people. And you go to a restaurant and order food by pointing at something. Similarly, you pay money and leave the people bow to you when you are leaving the place, a satisfied customer. But there might be other instances when it doesn't go so well because of nonverbal communication, like people refusing to have eye contact or getting offended when you have eye contact with them. Nods might also mean different things, causing problems, like when the person nods to say yes. Other people might understand it as a no. In Japan, when you nod, they can just take it as a signal that you are listening to them. Some of the nonverbal communication difference in different cultures are: first is eye contact. Western culture mostly consider eye contact to be a good gesture. It shows attentiveness, confidence, and honesty. Other cultures such as Asian, Middle Eastern, Hispanic, and Native American do not take it as a good expression. It is taken as a rude and offensive expression. Unlike in Western culture, taking it is a respectful. Other do not consider it the way. In Eastern culture, women should especially not have eye contact with men as it show power. In some culture whereas gazes are taken as a way of expression, staring is taken as a rude in most cultures. Next is gestures. Gestures such as thumbs up can be interpreted differently in different cultures. It is taken as okay. Sign in many cultures whereas is taken as a vulgarism. In other like Latin American cultures in Japan, some even take it as a money. Some cultures take snapping fingers to get the attention of a waiter as alright, whereas some take it as a disrespect and very offensive. Showing feet is taken as offensive in some Middle Eastern culture. Some some cultures take pointing fingers as insulting too. In Polynesia, people stick out their tongue to greet people, which is taken as a sign of mockery in most of other cultures. Next is touch. Touch are taken as a rudeness. In most cultures, shaking hands is considered to be acceptable in many. Similarly, acceptability of kissing, hugs, and many other touches are different in different cultures. People in Asia are more conservative in these types of nonverbal communication. Patting head or shoulder also has different meanings in different cultures. In some Asian cultures, patting children's head is very bad signal as head is taken to be sacred. Middle Eastern countries take touch between people from opposite gender is taken as bad character. Where and how you are touched or touch changes the meaning of touch. So you must be careful when you visit a new place. Next is appearance. Appearance is another form of nonverbal communication. People are judged from their appearance. Racial difference as well as difference in clothing tell so much about any individual. Grooming yourself to look good is taken as an important aspect of personality in most cultures. But what is considered to be a good appearance is different again in different cultures. Modesty is also measured from appearance. Next, next is body movement and posture. People receive information or message from body movements. It shows how people feel or think about you. If a person does not face you while talking to you, can mean that the person is nervous or shy. It might also mean that the person does like to talk to you. Other body movements like coming to sit near or far can also show the confidence, power, or trying to control the environment. Postures is like sitting straight or slouched also show the mental condition of the person. Hands in pocket also show disrespect in different culture. For example, sitting with crossed legs is considered offensive in Ghana and Turkey. Next is facial expression. Facial expression is face shows feelings, attitudes, and emotion. The degree of facial expression are determined by culture. People from United States show emotion more than their Asian counterparts. Facial expression are shown to be similar all over the world, but people from different cultures do not show in it in the public. The meaning of these are commonly acknowledged everywhere. Too much expression is taken to be shallow in some places, whereas in some it is taken as being weak. Next is paralanguage. How we talk also constitutes of what we communicate. For example, vocal tones, volume, trim, pitch, etc. speak more than what words express. Asian people control themselves from shouting as they are taught not to from childhood. They are known as a vocal qualifiers, vocal characterizations like crying, whining, yelling, etc. Change the meaning of the message. Giggling is taken as a bad gesture in some culture. Many other emotions are shown by vocal difference while all of them are included in paralogy. Next is physical space, proxemics. People from different cultures have different tolerance for physical distance between people. In Middle Eastern culture, people like to go near to other to talk while in other people might get afraid in anybody does so. Um, Even Europeans and Americans do not have the much acceptance on the breach of physical distance and less acceptance for it among Asian. People have specific personal space which they do not want intruded. In some cultures, even close physical contact between strangers is acceptable. Nonverbal communication can be next is a nonverbal misinterpretation as a barrier to intercultural communication. It is often people do not share. Before we'll start, what is nonverbal misinterpretation as a barrier of intercultural communication? What does mean? Nonverbal communication can be a barrier to intercultural communication. Nonverbal communication is communication without words. Messages are sent through gesture, proximity, eye contact, expectation regarding time, and so on. These forms of communication can easily be misinterpreted. First is often people do not share the same language and some resort to hand gesture for communication. In such situation, people discover that the belief that hand signals and bodily expression are universal is not true. Many nonverbal gestures vary from culture to culture, and it is this variation that make nonverbal misinterpretation a barrier. While we expect language to be different, we are less likely to expect and recognize how the nonverbal symbols are different. Often, when people do not share the same language, some resort to hand gesture to communicate. In such situation, people discover that the belief that hand signals and bodily expression are universal is not true. Many nonverbal expressions vary from culture to culture, and it is just those variations that make nonverbal misinterpretation a barrier. For example, in the United States, the meaning of a touch can often be ambiguous. Com- Comparing observation and interpretation of nonverbal symbols often, while reveal their ambiguity. The example is given of a technical instructor in Iran from the United States who complained that his students were not paying attention to him. The basis of the instructor inference was that his Iranian students were passively sitting and staring at him instead of taking notes on the important part of his lecture. On the visit on the basis is if his experience with students in the United States who expect lectures to supplement text, he believed that note taking is nonverbal cue signaling interest and the lack of note taking as cue signaling boredom of distraction. He failed to learn that Iranian students aspect gesture to corresponds exactly to the text, so there is no need to take notes. Um, Thank you. Presented by Eliza Holler.